For this video, I will be talking about Wild Guns, a shooting gallery game by Natsume which takes place in a space western setting. The premise of Wild Guns is that a woman named Annie wants revenge against the Kidd family who killed her own family. She hires a bounty hunter named Clint to help her get her revenge, and the two of them join forces to put a stop to the Kidd family. Throughout their mission, Clint and Annie use their guns to fight Kidd's henchmen as well as robots and other mechanical constructs. I will now talk about the gameplay. How the gameplay works is that the player chooses to play as either Clint or Annie, and within stages controls both their character and a targeting reticle to aim the shots fired by the character. The player characters are situated in the foreground, and they fire their gunshots into the background, which is where the enemies are primarily situated. The play control is smooth and deep. The targeting reticle moves at a good speed, and the player characters walk at a good speed. The firing is automatic, which is a great convenience by itself and allows for another convenient move associated with the attack button, the lasso. Basically, if the player repeatedly presses the attack button, their character starts spinning a lasso, and the lasso can stun enemies, which is a great convenience and adds depth and strategy. Another attack ability adding depth and strategy to the game is the ability for a character to pick up dynamite and throw the dynamite into the background, leading to an effective attack. If an enemy enters the foreground to directly hit the player's character, the player can hit the enemy with a melee attack, which is well-paced, adds depth, and is very satisfying to use. The bombs are fun to use because they damage all on-screen enemies and because the two characters' detonation animations are cool. The weapon upgrades add depth, strategy, and fun to the game. My favorite upgrade is the grenade gun because of its strength and spread. The jump, double jump, and side roll that the player can use are well-executed methods of evading enemy attacks. The action can get hectic, which is why it is great that the game facilitates dodging in two ways. One way is by having a text bubble saying "Look out!" appear above a character when a bullet is heading towards them. The other way is by showing the destination of bullets with mini reticles. Both conveniences prevent a lot of potential frustration. Speaking of bullets, another great way to avoid damage is to shoot enemy bullets mid-flight. This adds depth and strategy and is made rewarding by the fact that shooting enemy bullets fills up a gauge. This gauge is required to use my favorite part of the gameplay, the Vulcan gun. When the gauge is full, the player's weapon is replaced by the Vulcan gun, their character becomes temporarily invincible, and they can launch strong and explosive rounds at a fast rate. The gauge depletes while the Vulcan gun is in use, and the gun and invincibility last until the gauge runs out. The Vulcan gun is satisfying to use, adds depth and strategy to the game, and is an excellent reward for shooting enemy bullets. The sprites and environments are colorful, well-drawn, and highly detailed. In addition, the sprites and environments fit well in a space western setting, and the art style goes well with the over-the-top action of the game. I will now talk about the stages. The stages are a great blend of Wild West elements and science fiction elements, and are greatly varied in terms of environments and enemies. The destructibility of the environments is a great touch too, and adds to the sense of immersion. The stages are divided into segments, including a segment against the stage boss. The pre-boss segments have timers, which help with the pacing of the pre-boss segments, and each pre-boss segment ends with a mid-boss fight. The bosses and mid-bosses are intimidating, well-drawn, detailed, and greatly varied. The boss fights are made more fun by the boss song, which fits well in a space western setting, adds intensity and excitement to the fights, and goes well with the designs and attacks of the bosses. Speaking of music, the stages all have excellent songs that go well with the setting and the action. My favorite stage songs include the Song of Carson City, which is the first stage, and the songs of the gold mine and the ammunition depot. I also love the stage clear song, it's so satisfying. The only problem I have with the game is that it is a little short. Fortunately, the game's great replay value makes up for this. I will now talk about the final stage. The final stage, which is called Final Fight, is my favorite stage and has my favorite song in the game. Final Fight is a great stage because it is challenging, has varied segments, and ends with a great final battle against Kidd. The song goes well with the game's atmosphere, goes well with the fact that the game is close to the final battle, and adds more intensity and excitement than the other stage songs do. The final battle against Kidd is intense and challenging, takes place in a well-designed room, and has a great battle song. The battle ends in a satisfying way with Kid collapsing and shouting, and with a brief exchange between Kid and either Clint or Annie. I will now talk about the ending. Clint and/or Annie jumping out of Kid's base is satisfying, as is seeing the base blow up. The tiny sprite of Kid falling through the air in the distant background is a nice touch too. The credit sequence is great because of the great triumphant song which goes well with the atmosphere. The shot of Clint and/or Annie sitting near a cliff in the hard mode version of the credits is a nice touch too. Overall, Wild Guns is a deep and well-crafted shooting gallery game made even better by its excellent soundtrack, its colorful and detailed graphics, and its great atmosphere. That concludes my review of Wild Guns. Take care.